Do this one thing before you become famous. So in my career, I met with a lot of famous people. In fact, just in the past month, I met with 13 influencers that combined have more than 9 million followers. Each one gave me an advice of which I'm gonna share with you today. The way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna give you the story of mine on how I thought fame it was versus how it actually is. Then I'm gonna tell you all of the advices that actually changed my perspective, and then I'm gonna give you a secret of mine. Alright, so the first thing that I'm gonna talk about is that I always thought that fame is something that is so cool because we always get related. It's almost as if branding, right? So we relate fame with looking good, with having all the money, with having all of the stuff that we want, which is actually might not be correct, because what goes viral on the social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, those are the highlights of life. It's not only the daily life, because usually whatever it's daily, it's boring, so it's not going viral. So that's one thing that you keep in mind. So the first thing that I had in my life, the first story, I'm not very famous, right? Okay, but I got few tens of millions that sometimes people recognize me. It's not very common, but still I have some experience here. Okay, so if you have nobody that have ever recognized you and you want to become famous, probably the next step is what I'm going through. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the craziest story that I had, which is one day I was with this YouTuber. Okay, he was like 5 times bigger than me or something, like 3 times bigger than me. Alright, so he was big, and he was also had spent way more time than me. Okay, so there was like 40 years of difference of experience in terms of YouTube content creation, and I respected that. I was with him, I was the photographer, I was filming the entire video. It's kind of tough, but still we were doing fine. Alright, so we went next to this mid school. Okay, so we went through there, and look, I was shocked because a girl started screaming. I was like, is there a robbing? Is there someone who's getting robbed, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I was like, all right, I'm gonna look, I'm gonna see what's happening. All right, I was with my bike. I looked there and I found like, a group of mid-school girls. So there was like 10 or something, and one of them was screaming. I was like, okay, and she was looking at me. Okay, I thought at first she was looking at my friend. He's more famous, he spent more time, etc., etc., but she was actually looking at me. And she actually was swearing, and she was telling her friends, look who he is. And look, I had like starstruck. Just like she had, I had it more than her. Okay, so it was like blocked, and it was smiling, and it just continued. I didn't even say hi. Alright, which is, look, it just shows how unexperienced I was at that time, because I've never experienced that. I've always dreamt of it, but I never experienced it. So the trick here is, I was like, dude, why did she pointed at me and not the guy who had spent more time? And the only trick behind it is actually I just uploaded a video before that which got like which went viral. All right, she watched that video and that happened. So the thing I'm just talking about here is that these situations, I'm pretty sure that happens all the time. In fact, I'm going to tell you some of the stories later on with a lot of people that I met this happens to them on a daily basis. This happens to me just once in my life. So the thing that you have to keep in mind about fame is that sometimes you can hate it. And when you hate it is when you're not showing your personality online. So you're not really authentic about what you're doing online. Okay, and the thing with it is because I actually have experienced that at some point in my life. I was not very authentic. I was not really showing my life. Okay, so the way I was showing is I was showing the brand. I was showing who I want to be, the picture that I want to be portrayed about the brand, and that's kind of makes some unauthentic decisions. All right, so I always had that. I was like, should I show who I really am in my situation, or should I show what I know that it will get views and likes and all of that? And at that time I always choose the later one. Now okay, I'm gonna tell you later on which one I will choose. Spoiler alert, I'll choose the authentic. Okay, so that got me into a lot of troubles because I've had a few videos going viral. Actually, it's the same video that I said. It's just one video, okay? Which got a lot. Some kids, know me a little bit here and there, and the fact that I hated it because people were looking at me, and I'm like, dude, I just look nothing like what I was looking in that video. Like I'm poor. In that video, I wear the best stuff. I go to the best places and stuff like that because that's what gets views. So I felt like some sort of, personality disorder, and I hated that. And people were with me, were gassed up. They were like, dude, why are you doing that? That's so fun. Like you have to love this experience. And I'm like, dude, you just don't understand. It sucks actually. I don't like this. And it didn't even know how to explain this because it didn't make any sense. Because it was my problem that it was not very authentic and it was not showing the stuff that should be shown, right? If something that is not good, that's my story though. That's who I am. So I must show it to the people. So at least I will be fine with people recognize me in public, which is later on, like right now, I do film some videos that goes some views, let's say, okay, and some kids like neighbors and stuff like that, they sort of know me and I'm fine with it. I used to ask them, do you go to school? Are you studying good? So always I keep that good influence that I had in my life. So when I was young, I always glorified everyone who make YouTube videos. So I wish that someone gave me the advices that I give people right now. So if I found a kid and it's like, oh, you're making YouTube videos, just watch that video. And I'm like, yeah, I make video. Do you actually study? Do you go to school? And he's like, yeah, what level are you? He's like, oh, I'm in the 4th grade. Oh, sure. So are you like, how good are you? Are you the best? Are you this? He's like, oh, I got like 7 out of 10. I'm like, good, this is awesome. Always focus on school, etc., etc. So this dialogue, it's almost as if a chatbot is talking. I do that all the time. But still, this gives me first, that person will have good influence, will remember me, and also I'm comfortable with it, which is awesome. Okay, so that's the first one. That's why the reason why I want you to do that, because it's my personal experience and it's something that I've always struggled. And I think to overcome the situation that I was in at the time, I didn't know what's the actual solution. Okay, I didn't know that it's all about being authentic about who I am, my story, where I am, the good stuff, the bad stuff, etc., etc. So people actually feel related to me. And when I meet people, it's not as if they just seen the best version of myself on the internet, like catfishing, but it's actually me who have seen. And if they didn't see me, like all of the sides, then it's their problem, not mine. So I'm more comfortable with being famous. And this is something that all the famous people actually do it. However, I'm going to clarify one thing, is that at some certain level, like when we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, the worst him and the best him is always great, okay? Because he's just such in a great level that probably you're not in right now. I was not in. I'm not in currently, which I understand. So for him, like even if he's not authentic 100% on social media, this does not mean that he will have these personality disorders, because his worst version is the best version for probably most of us. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. Okay, I'm gonna move on real quick to the stories, to the famous people that I've seen and all of the crazy stories that they have told me, okay? So the first thing I'm going to talk about this guy who's famous. He's a freestyler. He does freestyles and stuff like that. I met him while the national team was playing. And I really, at first, I didn't recognize him. But all of a sudden, dude, there was 10 people around him, which is something that I don't see often, okay? There was 10 people around him. All of them were taking pictures. All of them are kids. And he was like, he was cool. You know what I mean? He was taking pictures with them, stuff like that. And I was like, this is awesome, dude. I took a video with him. I asked him a few questions, etc., etc. And he was not like new in my city, okay? So he was like, I interviewed him about like, what do you think about the city, etc., etc. But the thing is, that's something, I was like, dude, that's something different, okay? There's a different level. Also, when you see famous people, they look good. Most of them look good, okay? Especially if there is an event that they know they will film, or they will get filmed, etc., etc., or they will meet people that know them. So, as an example, these guys looked awesome, dude. I was like, dude, obviously they're famous on Instagram. Obviously they have millions of followers, because they actually looked good. And for me, I always had that conflict. It's like, probably looks doesn't matter. What matters is your work, how many videos you post, how much you work on the videos, whatever. Sure, it is. Part of it is correct, but good looking is actually correct. And actually, I'm gonna give even an example from Alex Hormozi, right? Who's another famous person. He said just recently, a quote which says, the best salespeople in the world are hot women who can deal with rejection. Okay, so if you're not a man, you cannot be hot women. Okay, so if you're a man, you can be hot man. You can be good-looking man that learn how to deal with rejection. You can deal with rejection. It's fine. Okay, so that should be the best version of yourself in the sales process. Well, when you think about it, like famous, it's also part of it is sales process, because you're selling what you do, what you have, whether that being content, your products, whatever it is, your personality, your lifestyle to other people. So there's always that thing, okay? That's one. And the second story that I'm gonna also give here is okay, dude, I'm gonna make it balanced, okay? So I'm gonna give good stories and not so good stories. So there's these famous actresses, okay, that I met. It was like the red carpet. I met them. It was awesome. Like, a couple of questions here and there. It was awesome environment, okay? So when we got into the theater, there's the VIP area. I was there. I went to them and I was asking them and stuff like that. And then you realize that how famous people are just really, some of them are very nice, and they just live that role. So the first time I really noticed that is with the national football team. So there were people like Hakimi, right? He has 22 million followers on Instagram. There's people who have 2, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, etc., etc. They were all in the match, and it was like a few meters away from them, okay? So they were passing by me, and I'm like, look, dude, they're not some crazy people, because they've always had, look, I know this will sound crazy, because anyone who said it, they're like, dude, don't say it out loud. People will laugh at you. But still, like, always as growing up, I almost had this situation because I didn't meet a lot of famous people. It's like, are they real, bro? How do they do that? Like, are they looking good on Instagram, or they're looking just not so good and they look good on Instagram? Like, how do you do that, okay? And when I met them, they're just normal people who actually take care of themselves. And they're not crazy muscular, because I met also another national team. I met them and I was talking to them, like, interviewing them, etc. And they're actually just normal people, and they're not very happy all the time. Some of them are sad, some of them feel like depressed, some of them feel, focused, whatever it is. And some of them are still happy and guzzed up. Some of them look great, some of them do not look good. And you understand that, well, what did I expect, okay? And I wanted to share this for the people that have never seen someone who's famous, to kind of like have this idea about, dude, they're just like you, okay? They just did some decisions in their life that they made them go to that level. So you have to think, and this is like actually something that happened to me. I was watching the game and I couldn't watch it, dude. I almost wanted to cry, because I said, dude, what is the difference between me and him? How did he got 22 million on Instagram? And I've been doing this for 8 years. I have my best account has right now 33,000. I was like, dude, it is a huge difference between us. What is the thing that got him to do that? Okay, and he's a man and I am a man. Okay, so there's not a lot of huge differences. It's not like some sort of another creature. We're the same. And this is something that I know it sounds weird, but it is my thought process, and I'm fine. If you think I'm weird, if you think that this is something that does not relate to you, it's fine. Okay, so I don't care about what other people think. I'm here telling you for scientific reasons. Okay, that's awesome. Here I'm gonna give you another great stories that actually shocked me, okay? And here's this, okay? Just wait for this. Those people, famous people, are always ready to get tested. So there was this football match. I went to these Instagrammers, and on the spot, I was like, hey, I introduced myself. Hey, I make videos on Instagram, and I wanted to take a video for you, just a quick interview, ask you a few questions. They're like, oh yeah, sure, of course, it's awesome. Didn't tell them what's the questions, nothing. Like, one of them said, tell me the questions so I know how to deal with you. But other than that, I was like, look, dude, just whatever, And I was like, hey, what's up? How did you find the match? Those generic questions. But the thing is, they're always ready. Also, I was filming another video with another content creator. Another content creator just popped up on the background, and he was doing some gestures with his face. And I was like, dude, that's so content creation mindset that they have. Some sort of program. It's like you programmed, right? Someone, it's like ChatGPT, you programmed him and you put him. Dude, it's insane, okay? So this might sound weird, but I'm here giving you indirectly messages, indirectly lessons. So if you want to be these people, this is how you do it, okay? Now this is awesome, but all of this, these were just, normal stories, okay? Nothing too crazy. Now I'm gonna upper the level a little bit. I'm gonna give you the stories of my friends before and after they got famous, okay? So there's one friend of mine who had like 25,000 Instagram followers, nothing crazy. And I was talking to him on the phone. He was like, dude, I just want to grow up on Instagram. I was like, okay, what does that mean to you? So it's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this series and I'm going to do this one thing, and this one thing. Here's the strategies and can you please help me? I was like, sure, of course. So we were back and forth going to make the introductions for the series and stuff like that. And he said, look, dude, all what I'm doing right now is just collect a little bit of money so I don't have to care about the money for about 2-3 months. So I focused all in on Instagram so I grow up. And it was like, okay, dude, that's interesting. It's the first time that I've heard that. And that's actually what happened. So in the span of like 2 months, 3 months, he tripled his Instagram followers and he has an insane engagement, okay? And him before and after, it seems that almost the same, but there's a shift in mindset, especially when he says that, look, I don't want to care about money so much right now. I just want to care about one thing, and this one thing is actually make the videos that will get me a lot of stuff. So there is the intention behind everything that you do, which is very important. And this is something that, look, I know this. If that's not enough, I'm gonna give you another story. So my best friend Adam Asta, I was with him like 3 years ago. Okay, we were the same thing. We were back and forth on like what are the strategies to do on YouTube and stuff like that. And at the time he was making videos in Arabic countries. He didn't think about making English. I was like, dude, I really think you should do English. And at first he was like, dude, why? A few months later he started making videos in English, which is just weird. But you know, he came to the conclusions that he has the skills, so we might as well use them in English better than kind of like trap himself in a box. Which the thing that get us to the conclusion that I was with him before and after he got all of the famous videos. Some of them have like right now 2 million, 3 million views, I don't know. But he has like those videos and now he's working with other people, other YouTubers. The difference between him back then and him now is just really the experience. And for him, he gets actually gassed up when people meet him, you know, which is awesome. Like also like tells me the stories and stuff like that, which is also something that I found it very common with a lot of, you know, famous people, is that they get gassed up when people know them. Even the person that I told you about, how he grew on Instagram, he actually get gassed up all the time about his followers coming and saying hi to him and stuff like that. Even 3 years ago when he didn't have all of that followers. So he was always talking, like I speak to him every time. He has to tell me about like 5 people that came to him and they asked him about the video he just uploaded. And he always does that. So this is something that speaks about obsession of them, about their followers, about what they do, which leads me to one of the most famous of them all that I met and I talked to, and like I felt like we had something, you know, like a good connection between us, which is an Instagrammer. She's an Instagrammer or influencer, whatever you want to call it, and she was in this. It's like the grannies, but not the grannies. Okay, so there was some trophies being handed to the best in some movies and stuff like that, okay? So I saw her. I actually didn't know who she is at the beginning, but it looks famous. She was good, she was gorgeous, all this stuff, okay? And my friend told me, look, that she's so famous, you can't even believe it, okay? So I went to her, was like, you know, I introduced myself. She was so pro, she loved it. And she was speaking to me, was like, how you find it? I was interviewing back and forth. And the thing about her is that she's obsessed about what she does. Like even when she got into the stage, okay, so she walked by me, she was looking at me and she got into the stage. She was telling people, I'm just so obsessed about this that I do. There's another one who's also famous. He's like 500,000. She has 2.5 million followers on Instagram. The other guy has 500,000 or so. He was, look, I have never seen someone who's more obsessed than her about what she does. And she was, well, that's right. I am so obsessed about what I do. And that's why, she didn't say that's why I'm here, but kind of like come to the conclusion. And look, all of the actors, there were a lot, at least like 20 of them, wait, more, like 30 or 40 of them. Some of them are famous. She's the one that got the most hype out of the audience, dude. She came to the stage, the entire crowd was going crazy. And this is not like some crazy crowd. It's not like 5,000 or 70,000. It's probably like, I don't know, a few hundreds, okay? I'm not gonna say a number, but probably 500 maximum, something like that. And the crowd went crazy, dude. They were hyped, they were making sound, they were cheering for her, and she loved it. She was like, you know what, I'm obsessed with what I do. And she kind of went back and forth with her audiences, which is something that I didn't see the people that has half a million followers on Instagram or etc., or that have few thousands on Instagram actually do it. She's more comfortable with speaking with her audiences. In fact, she posted those shots on her story for the next week or so, okay? So she did that. I'm pretty sure probably if I can go right now on her story, people will tag her and she will put them, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that tag her. So this is awesome, and I'm pretty sure that now I gave you a lot of stories about a lot of amazing stories actually about fame. And pretty sure, look, just as I promised, now I have a very good idea about what is fame look like and what do you need to be famous, and also what are the criteria and the common traits that they all have for the famous people. And I give you examples from few thousands on Instagram to close to 100,000 on Instagram to 500,000 followers on Instagram to 2.5 million to 22 million followers. So to give you all of the examples that you might need, whatever the level that you want to get to, or whatever the level that you are in right now, you always can learn from the lessons that I gave you today. So as I promised, now look, you're ready. If you want to become famous, you're ready. If you're already on the grind, you have a good idea about what's waiting for you, dude. Subscribe.